and he's going to house it.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another Angle of Pursuit podcast, your NASCAR home. Brian Twining qualifying is in the books. We are getting set for the Cookout 500, so Cookout Southern 500. Got there. We're in Darlington. Qualifying is done. The starting grid is set. We will obviously break down DraftKings, give you guys some lineups we're looking at, give you an update with poll, everybody set for the grid and what the betting odds may have moved, some of the odds that may have moved just because of getting action. So let's just jump into it and we can kind of run through a few things. The first being Daniel Suarez.
Poor guy.
He's going through it. So why don't you break it down like you did for me and let the people know what's going on?
Yeah, so apparently, according to Bob Pockrass on Twitter, Suarez failed inspection the maximum amount of time, so he was not allowed to run a qualifying lap, and he's going to have to serve a pass-through penalty as soon as we start the race. So not only is this guy starting at the rear of the field, he has to serve the pass-through. He'll likely go a lap down within the first two laps. He also does not get pit stall selection, so he's getting stuck with the worst spot on the pit grid.
Yep.
It's going to be a rough going for him going into tomorrow.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but there is still a chance for him to kind of figure it out. If he can get kind of, even if it's at the end of stage one, be like the last car on the not on the lead lap, get that pass through.
So that's kind of what I was thinking is I'm assuming we're probably going to see a pretty good amount of cautions tomorrow, especially because this is the playoffs. Yeah. So, I mean, if he can just stay close to the pack and hopefully nobody gets lapped that fast, and he should get back onto the lead lap fairly quick, in my opinion, I would assume. But it's just that pit stall selection is going to be a major issue all day tomorrow.
Yep. No, it's less than ideal, but it's not something that you should preclude you if you liked him before the week, especially if we're talking top 10 type stuff, talking about DraftKings. I think he can make some sense. Exactly. So let's jump into it. We got Kyle Larson starting 7th, is your most expensive driver at 11.4. Obviously, we've talked about his kind of up and down season, but at this track, he's been really good, so he's priced accordingly. Denny Hamlin right behind him at 11.1, starting 11th. Chase Elliott starting 23rd at 10.7. I feel like he's going to be pretty popular this week, but we'll have to see kind of how the rest of the pricing shakes out. We have obviously 500 laps, so dominators will be key. You'll probably want a couple of them. Tyler Reddick, Kyle Busch both make some sense if you want to spend up and kind of avoid these names. 10.5 and 10.2 accordingly. And the last guy in the list, 10K flat, starting 12th, my guy for the week, Ross Chastain. What are your thoughts on kind of this range, and where would you consider jumping into the player pool?
Well, I'm going to start off by continuing the trend we started earlier in the week, and I'm going to fade Kyle Larson at that 11.4 salary. Yep. I know he's on his radio today saying he loves his Cup car. He ran extremely well in the Xfinity race. I mean, he almost won the race today. He just hasn't shown enough for me to want to pay up for him, even starting in that 7th spot, thinking he's going to finish that strongly here. I kind of like Denny starting 11th. He kind of has that like personality right now where he's kind of like F you to everybody. But I think it's going to be difficult to build a lineup without going to Chase Elliott starting 23rd at 10.7. I know he hasn't run the best at this track, but he did run pretty well in like 2 of the last 4 events here. I think he's got like a 4th and a 5th place finish. So I think getting somebody starting 23rd that's as good as him for 10.7 as the 3rd highest priced guy is pretty good value.
Yeah, and he's been amazing all year long. So obviously there's no reason to doubt him and his skill set. I think there's a lot to kind of unpack here. I think you hit on a lot of good things. Kyle Larson is going to be an interesting name. There's going to be a lot of people that fade him because of his run. You can also see people getting to him just because of his history. I think Hamlin makes a lot of sense. I could see him, we're looking at the end of stage 1 and all of a sudden he's in the top 3 and he's fighting for the lead. I think Reddick and Kyle Busch make a little sense. And like I said before, I love Ross Chastain this week. I think he is one of my favorite options is kind of that second dominator, but we'll have to figure out kind of how we want to approach it. The 9K range only has 3 names. Joey Logano, who is starting on the pole, obviously looked great today in qualifying. Martin Truex starting 17th at 9,500, and your guy Ryan Blaney 9,200 starting 9th. Is this a range you're just going to jump over, or are you going to take any of the names from here?
I mean, honestly, if me and the number 22 didn't have such a clashing of likeness here, Logano, it makes a lot of sense. Starting on the pole, $9,800. He looked great in both practice and qualifying. I mean, this is a race where you are going to want laps led, and he is a guy that can do that. He likes to drive aggressively, keep people behind him. So, I mean, Logano makes a lot of sense if you're not like me and you just absolutely hate picking this guy. And among the group, I'd probably go with him over both Truex and Blaney, although I do think Truex will surprise some people tomorrow. He's kind of out to prove that, he should be in the playoffs. I mean, when we're talking about this, dude was like top 8 in regular season points or top 7, whatever it was. Realistically, he should be a playoff driver, and he's going to race the playoffs like he is still in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I like the idea of taking Logano and either Hamlin or Chastain, if you like either of those guys, and kind of pairing them as your early dominator to get started. Logano obviously starts, and then hope Hamlin or Chastain can get to the front. The other option is to take him and pair him with someone in the 8K range, and there's a few names. Obviously, William Byron looking good starting 3rd. Our guy Christopher Bell starting 2nd. Kevin Harvick starting 18th at 85 is also kind of interesting. And then Alex Bowman at 16th, and then Daniel Suarez at 8K starting 36th, I think makes a ton of sense as well. So I feel like this range is going to be really popular, and I think grabbing the right name or two out of this range is going to be key.
Yeah, I mean, I feel vindicated with both Byron and Bell performing really well during qualifying, especially Christopher Bell. This is something we've been mentioning every single week. This guy is a qualifying king this season. I mean, he proved it once again. I hope you grab that 20-1 outright number and you're going and you're trying to sell it off right now, because do you trust him to win the race? I love the number and I want to see him win, but I just don't have any faith that he's going to finish in that spot, which is why for me, I don't care if he looks slow during practice or qualifying. Kevin Harvick starting 18th. When you talk about consistency at a track, this guy is it. He epitomizes somebody who just knows how to drive on a track. I think he's ran every lap except for maybe one over the last 10 races here. So he avoids the crashes here. I mean, he started the spring race, the 35th in the back row, wind up finishing 4th. I don't care. He's starting 18th. He's driving a lot better towards the latter half of the season than he was even when he finished 4th here. So Harvick starting 18th, $8,500 to me is the best value.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few names that I think stand out. I think Suarez, I think Harvick, and then obviously Chase Elliott as 3 drivers who should be extremely popular tomorrow, both based on where they're starting and their salary and kind of what they could do for your lineups. We'll dip down into the 7K range where I think we get a bunch more interesting names. Chase Briscoe starting 19th. Austin Dillon looked pretty good starting 13th. Cindric starting 6th. Michael McDowell continues to be rock solid. He's not going to win the championship and he's not going to blow you away, but he's definitely elevated himself as a driver where he's a lot more intriguing week to week. In races that he wouldn't normally be in, and obviously qualifying really well. So that's cool to see. Bubba Wallace, Eric Jones, Ty Gibbs round out the 7K range. What names jump out for you here?
In the 7K range, I think I would have to go all the way down to Eric Jones just for value purposes, because I do like his top 10 odds. I think he kind of showed during practice running the second fastest lap during Group A. I think I mean, he's kind of done this all year. He's able to show that top flight speed. It's just whether or not he can put together an entire race. I mean, we saw last week in Daytona. All it takes is one little clip, and the whole field is getting wrecked out. Especially with a guy like Eric Jones. But of this group, he's the guy I have the most confidence in maybe moving up. I mean, Briscoe maybe, but not for the extra $700.
Yeah. And then obviously Bubba looked pretty good driving the 45, and then Ty Gibbs.
Yeah, but starting eighth, that's
yeah. So, no, more of a betting pick than I think a DK selection. Chris Buescher starting 27th could be fun. We always have an easy time clicking his name.
True.
Brad Keselowski, always have a hard time clicking his name, but also can make some sense. Recky Spinout starting 20th at 65. Almirola starting 22nd at 64. Justin Haley, Landon Castle, and that's your 6K range. Once again, is it just Buescher or faded, or maybe Almirola?
Yeah. Oh, man. I mean, Buescher is a guy who it's hard to get to him over the last couple of weeks. He runs great, but he runs into contact. And, Almirola probably is a little bit better here. 6,400, you're saving a little bit of salary. He's only starting 5 spots ahead of him. I'd probably rather go to the other SHR car in Almirola this week.
Yeah, Almirola was really good here last time, but he kind of started 11th or started 12th, got as high as 9th, finished 11th. Like he just kind of stayed in that window the whole time. So,
well, maybe he's a 10th place driver here, and that'd be 12 spots.
Yep.
I mean, that's great at 6,400.
If you can get a top 10 out of him starting in 22nd spot, I think you'll be happy, especially at his salary. And then we have the rest of the drivers kind of in that 5K and below range. Ty Dillon, Harrison Burton, Cole Custer, Corey LaJoy, Gilliland, the who's who of starting 30th and being sub 6K on DraftKings. Anyone you're dying to pound the table for this week out of this range?
I mean, the only guys that I would think if they avoided issues would probably be, for me, I'd go back to Burton or maybe even Custer this week, which has burned me pretty much all season. So honestly, I'm going to do everything in my power to avoid rostering them.
Yeah, it's probably the move. So let's figure out who we will roster this week, Brian, and I will give you the honors with the first selection. Who is the first name going into our lineup?
Man. Well, I mean, I said it at the top of the show. There's no reason to think this guy's not going to run top 5, but Chase Elliott, 10-7. Let's just start there.
Yep, and I'm going to throw in Suarez just because it's a little chalky, but I think we can get different with other selections. So I think grabbing both those guys, starting where they're starting, Chase Elliott could easily finish top 5 or win the race. Daniel Suarez could finish top 10, top 5 easy. And for where they're starting and what their salary is, I think it makes too much sense.
Oh man, now we're in a bit of a predicament here, but
I mean, we can get cheap. We'll have to get cheap, but then we can get expensive again. I mean, Buescher makes sense. Almirola makes sense. I'm fine going to Harrison Burton.
Let's see what we can do here. Let's go ahead and add that POS Joey Logano at 9,800, and let's see how we can finagle this roster.
Okay. Well, we will need another guy starting near the front. Christopher Bell is the cheapest option, 8,700. I think he makes sense. And then I think we dive way down and try and find some value. So we have 60.
Let's add Almirola.
Okay.
You got to put Almirola in there.
Perfect. I like it. And then we just need to leave a little bit of money on the table so we don't absolutely box ourselves in here. Let's see. So Harrison Burton started 25th, finished 14th last time we were here. Gilliland started 27th, finished 15th. Both those guys make sense. Buescher kind of ran where he started as 18th to 16th. Trying to convince myself of a cheap guy that I really like.
I mean, Cole Custer does have an 11th and a 12th place finish at this track. I mean,
done.
Let's do it.
Love it.
Let's get dirty this weekend.
Cool. So there's our lineup. I will throw that in a couple tournaments. We'll see how we do.
Ugh.
I think it makes sense. I think it's safe. Obviously, no Chastain here, so I'll probably mix in some Chastain. And I think
Similar, like with, I feel like Harvick for me personally.
Yeah, Harvick too. I think all
would be
three of
somebody I'd
those.
sneak
I
in.
think all three of those guys make sense. So
Yeah.
I will have a few lineups. I will try and find a way to work them in. So I will save that. We can jump over and look at the updated odds as we sit. Kyle Larson's come to a little bit better of a number, right? Wasn't he a little bit shorter or no?
I feel like he was like right around this.
No, he opened at 6. So yeah, I mean, if you can get the 7 at DraftKings and you still like him, that's fine. Logano obviously jumped up from 9 to 7 to 6. Kyle Busch similar, up a little bit.
Look at that Christopher Bell number.
Yeah, I mean, we put it on the card at 20. We bet it, and then every day it's 10. But then but then he's gonna have issues in the pits or whatever, and I don't know. He's been better. Same with William Byron. His number jumped significantly. I'm very happy I put that on the betting card before we finished the show last Wednesday.
We talked about him though. He's either like he is the literal boomer bust driver this year.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's so freaking due for a good finish.
Yep, Chastain actually backed up a little bit. I got it at 10. I might go back to it at 12.
Yeah, but that's really not that much movement. So I mean,
it's about where it was.
Yeah.
Truex, another guy that backed up just a little bit. Cindric's number like significantly.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so we'll have to look at. That's pretty aggressive, and then obviously Chase Elliott.
I mean,
if you like Chase Elliott, this is.
I was just gonna say, anytime you can get Chase Elliott at 15 or 16 to 1 to win any race, that is a good value bet in my opinion.
Yep, I agree. Blaney also went back a little bit. Bubba's number got significantly cut. I missed out on that window. Kevin Harvick, 25. I like 25. I don't love 20. But 25 I think is significant enough, and 42 at FanDuel for Alex Bowman is also kind of fun.
Don't do it.
Oh, I'm a glutton for punishment, Brian. You know how I roll. Let's look at the top 10 odds, and we can figure out if there's anyone worth adding. Obviously, there's probably been a lot of movement here as Kyle Larson has gone from minus 270 to 350, 400, 650. If you like the favorites early, you got to get on them. Otherwise, those numbers go away. It's interesting.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the fact that Chase Elliott's number is still listed where it is, I mean, that's just an indication of how good he is and where they think he's going to finish. I mean, so that's how I'm going to add it for half a unit. I got to add Elliott on the outright. The number is too long to avoid with him.
I think it makes sense. I'm going to do that as well.
And then as you're adding that, I mean, just looking on the board here, Kevin Harvick with odds minus 110, minus 140, minus 300 at the top 10 at BetMGM. I don't know who else was shopping odds shortly after they ran qualifying, but DraftKings did post initial numbers where their first drop actually had Kevin Harvick to top 10 at plus 150. And you won't see the number here on the video, but I did add that to the card. I added it to whatever. I actually use Action Network sometimes to keep track of my bets. The fact that they dropped that and even left it up as long as they did was pretty surprising to me, considering his history here, regardless of where he qualified.
Yeah. And, even at minus 110, where the number sits right now, I think is a good number.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm adding that to the card as we speak. Because I just expect a solid performance. And I think it's a number that makes sense. Even though if you didn't get, obviously not getting the plus 150 isn't great. But still, I think minus 110 is fine. I think the minus 140 minus 150. That's when you're messing with fire there.
Well, I mean, my best bet was minus 140 to top 10. So hopefully that still comes to fruition.
Yeah,
here.
but you're getting the plus 150 and the minus 140. That breaks it out
It's
to
kind
about
of
even.
equaling each other out here.
So hopefully for both of our sakes, he cashes that.
Yeah. Oh, look at Christopher Bell's number. If you can still get that minus 120 to top 10 at PointsBet, you need to smash that.
Yeah, that's a homer for sure.
I mean, look at the other numbers: minus 225, minus 280.
And that's why you shop it, Brian. If you look at the grid and you see, hey, there's one outlying here, that's probably a good sign to jump on it.
Yeah.
Alex Bowman plus 150, man.
Don't do it. He's the trap play every week for you.
As the resident FanDuel guy, is Daniel Suarez 310 to top 10 on FanDuel?
I believe FanDuel's numbers are officially posted right now, and those are accurate as we speak here.
All right, I'm adding that. That's silly. That is just silly.
Yeah.
Daniel Suarez, you're getting 3-1 on him to top 10. Like, I know he's starting far in the back. I know he's gonna have to take a pass through. He's gonna have some stuff to deal with. His pit stall is not gonna be great, but I'm not asking him to win the race. I think he can get close enough where it won't matter, and he can absolutely cash that top 10 for me. Briscoe also 310, also makes a lot of sense.
I feel like the one I'm going to go back and add one more time is going to be the Eric Jones at 2-1.
Yeah,
we already have him at 1.5 to 1. Qualifying, he didn't reach the top 10, but I mean, he looked great in practice. So I'm going to go back and add another unit on that, which will probably bite me in the ass, but
here we are. Let's ride.
We're not here to play it safe. That's for sure.
Well,
that's no fun.
I mean, that's what we've been doing since the All-Star race, and we had been making money, and then Daytona happened, and now we're just spraying the board like wild, Ben. And I think we need to rein it in a little bit, but that's okay.
It's the playoffs, though. We only got like 12 races left.
How crazy is that?
No, 10 races. Yeah, 10 races, I believe.
All right. So the matchups I currently have is Elliott over Hamlin at plus 100. I have Harvick over Reddick at plus 105 and Cindric over Dillon at plus 110. So I'm happy to have that on the card. You have Harvick over Reddick at plus 120. You have Truex over Logano at minus 105, and I think that's it. So
yeah, those are the only two matchups I had early in the week.
Any other ones that make sense? Logano, look at this. Logano is the underdog to Ross Chastain despite being on the pole and Chastain starting 12th. That's interesting.
That's super weird.
Chase Elliott's still plus 100. I think I still like that if you can get that. Deneth over Kyle Larson. I'm going to add that.
Plus 110. That's a really good number.
Yeah. That's the only reason why I'm adding it. Not the only reason, but I think it's a good enough number where I want to grab a piece of it because I think the two drivers are very even. I think both could easily win this race. So I will take the plus 10 that DraftKings is offering, plus 110. Harvick's plus 105 against Tyler Reddick.
Yeah, I don't want to go back to the.
What did you get? You got a plus 120. So that's
I'm already pretty exposed to the old man this week.
That's solid. Kyle Busch plus 110 over Kyle Larson. I hate to do it to you, Kyle, but I'm just gonna. I guess it's fake Kyle Larson week.
Oh man.
I guess if I'm going with another Kyle, does that make it better or worse? I can't tell.
Yeah, I don't know which. Oh, there we go. I'm definitely adding this one when we get down to it.
Which one is that?
So you could get at PointsBet Martin Truex Jr. at plus 110 over Ross Chastain.
That's our show bet. I'm taking Ross Chastain over Kyle Busch at plus 112 at FanDuel. I will take that. Where is this Ross Chastain and Martin Truex? Yeah, plus 110 is a decent number. I like Ross, though. I'm not going to fade him this week.
We're going to have to go back. We keep talking about this. Go back and see our show bets of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I stopped mentioning it after you started crushing me again, so.
What?
Ooh.
Hold on a second.
Listening.
Okay. The Battle of the Austins.
I know. I was just looking at that.
I'm going to bet both. I can't.
Well, I have Cindric over Dylan at plus 110. Now I can get him at plus 138 coming the other way. It's like 30 cents extra.
I mean, I'm gonna max out these wagers and guarantee myself a win here.
Oh, good times. Good times.
This is great.
Oh, so much fun.
Okay. I mean, if these are legit lines, like that's how you make money right there. If you see two different guys that are posted as dogs, bet them both for the same amount, and you're gonna get, or whichever one you feel more comfortable with, I guess, and you're probably gonna profit on this.
Let's review our card. Let's review. Let me see if I can make that a little bit bigger. How about that? Much better. All right. So I have Ross Chastain on the outright at 10-1. I'm just going to stay with that one. I'm not going to double down. I have William Byron at 18-1, and then I added Chase Elliott. My best bet from Wednesday is Ross Chastain to top 10 at minus 125. I also have Martin Truex minus 140 to top 10. I have Eric Jones minus 150 from Wednesday. I added another unit at 2-1. I have Almirola to top 10 at 3-1. Harvick to top 10 at minus 110. I have Suarez to top 10 at 310. I have Elliott over Hamlin, Harvick over Reddick, Cindric over Dillon, added Hamlin over Larson, Busch over Larson, and Ross Chastain over Kyle Busch. Brian, break down your card for the fine folks, and then let me know your best bet for the week.
All right, so I got a few outrights here. Christopher Bell, 21 earlier in the week. Kevin Harvick, 17-1. Not a great number considering it's up to 25 right now. Willie B, 18-1, just like Christopher Bell, dropped pretty significantly after qualifying third. And then I just added Chase Elliott at 16-1, which is a ridiculous value on somebody of his talent. Top 10s, Christopher Bell, Kevin Harvick, my best bet earlier in the week at minus 140, which again, I'm losing value here as he's now minus 110. Although I did piggyback that with a Kevin Harvick at plus 150 earlier today before it got taken down. Eric Jones, top 10, plus 150, going back to the well with him at 2-1. And then to my matchups, I got Kevin Harvick over Tyler Reddick, Truex Jr. over Logano, which looks absolutely atrocious after qualifying. Truex Jr. over Chastain because it's plus money. And then I'm doing the bets against the same drivers, taking Dylan over Cindric because it's plus 138, and then Cindric over Dylan because it's plus 110, guaranteeing myself a profitable matchup in this case. And the last bet that I'm actually going to add right now, I just looked at the numbers, Chase Elliott to finish as the top Chevrolet at plus 750.
Yes, please. I will take that as well. I'm sure it'll go poorly, but I'm here for it. I think it's a good enough number where it makes sense.
And then so for my best bet for the track that is supposedly too tough to tame, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go Eric Jones to top 10 at 2-1. We're going to make this a 3-unit play to go along with the 1 unit I already bet with him at plus 150.
I like it. I like getting spicy. And as Emerald Lagasse would say, bang, let's spice it up, because I am going to go with Daniel Suarez top 10 at plus 310 for a spicy 3-unit play. Let's make some money this week.
Oh,
Love to
Lordy.
see it. I will actually, let me highlight that. So Ross Chastain is going to win. Daniel Suarez is going to top 10. I'm going to be very happy. Brian, we got a comment on our last video. I want to get it before we get out of here. What is your top 3 prediction? Like, who are your top 3 options for the week? For this week's race. So who's winning? Who's getting second? Who's getting third?
Oh man, I mean, I love Christopher Bell. I loved him coming into the race. Obviously, he proved me right in qualifying. I mean, I'm gonna stick to my guns here. It's hard for me to make any other bets than the ones I have. The value's not there on him, but I'm gonna go with Christopher Bell. I, as much as I don't have him on the board, I do think that Martin Truex Jr. is going to surprise some people, maybe crack that top 3, kind of tell everyone to shove it. And then another guy, I already bet him, like William Byron. I'm going to stick true to my guns here with the guys I already bet. Willie B, to me, is due for an incredible finish. I mean, 4 of his top 10 finishes are all inside the top 5 with 2 victories this year. He did pretty good here earlier in the spring before wrecking out. So I think there's no reason to think that he can't back up his qualifying into actual race day performance.
I like it. My winner is Ross Chastain. I like William Byron as well. He's in there. And then I don't have a bet, and I probably should, but I think Joey Logano finishes near the top 3. I think he's like third. I think it's not pretty, but he sneaks it out. It kind of blocks up some traffic and finishes in that top 3. So that is where Brian and I are at.
To back.
What's that?
He's just so gross to back for me. I get disgusted every time I try to bet.
We all have our guys. We all have the guys we like to target each and every week, and the guys we like to fade each and every week. And
yeah,
sometimes we pull our heads out of our butts and actually look at what's happening on the track and figure it out. Even if that means backing Brad Keselowski or Joey Logano. That is Brian Twining. I am Kyle Robert. You guys enjoy your Sunday. Enjoy the race. Enjoy the holiday weekend. College football is back. If you like college football, if you like NFL, if you like betting specifically, Brian and I are talking. We each have 3 favorite bets every week. It comes out on Thursday along with the NASCAR show, so make sure you check that out if you want to see our bets for the week over there. That's Brian Twining. I'm Kyle Robert, and we'll talk to you guys next time.